Recall that Republicans will be taking over the Senate Intelligence Committee come January. And the guy who is set to take over the chairmanship of the Senate Intelligence Committee is Richard Burr. He has called the report flawed and biased and a piece of fiction. So he's probably not going to be a reliable person when it comes to releasing the thing to the public. So it has to happen now. Understand that the summary has been redacted. My understanding is that for the most part, pseudonyms are not redacted. For the most part. Remember how limited this report will be. Committee staffers only looked at what the CIA did in its black sites, whether it misled other officials, and whether it complied with orders. This is some of this stuff is tallied by Dan Frumkin. Summary doesn't assess who told the CIA to torture. That's just not what it was tasked with doing. And probably, it specifically had a very narrow mandate, because you don't want this to actually be something that could lead to, say, the presidency. Senate investigators conducted no interviews of torture victims. They conducted no interviews of CIA officials. They conducted no interviews at all. The report concludes that torture did nothing to keep America safe. All of this is pretty threatening, even as limited as it is at this point. So what you're now seeing is George Bush and his cronies doing a public relations push. This is just sort of fascinating. And I feel like Peter Baker from the New York Times really did the Bushies a favor here. And you're going to see this same story regurgitated multiple times. The report supposedly asserts that the CIA misled Bush and the White House about the nature, extent, and results of brutal techniques like waterboarding. Apparently, he doesn't call it torture. And, okay, so the report supposedly misled, supposedly according to the report, the CIA misled, lied to the White House about the nature of the torture. In other words, maybe the White House didn't realize it was waterboarding or just how bad it was. Although we have Bush and Cheney more or less admitting that they knew that it was waterboarding. The extent, theoretically, how many people were tortured, and the results, in other words, that it was ineffective. And according to this piece by Peter Baker, some of his former administration officials privately suggested seizing on that to distance themselves from the controversial program, according to people involved in the discussion. So, according to the people who want to plant this story and protect the Bush administration, George Bush decided, no, I'm not going to run away from this. This is what he told Candy Crowley. We're fortunate enough to have men and women who worked hard at the CIA serving on our behalf. These are patriots, and whatever the report says, if it diminishes their contributions to our country, it is way off base. I'm going to repeat that last part, and I'm not going to put on a silly accent. These are patriots, and whatever the report says, if it diminishes their contributions to our country, it is way off base. In other words, you see what Bush is saying here? That even though we have this strategy amongst my former advisors to say that we were going to take advantage of the fact that they lied to us and we didn't know anything about it, and that we could distance ourselves, I'm not going to distance myself because even if it says that they misled us, I won't believe it and I will discount it if it in any way reflects negatively on them, so that no one will get the idea that they should refute the idea that they misled us because we actually knew about it. And this is the way to make the whole Inquisition end. So George Bush is being a stand-up guy. I'm not going to throw anybody under the bus because I realize I could be there too. And so rather than join them under the bus, we're just all going to be above the bus. So join me up on top of the bus. That's what I'm saying.
It's one of those two-decker buses.
It's a double-decker bus.
It's a double-decker bus, yeah.
In fact, fuck it. We're just going to be on a plane. We're just all going to be on a plane. Not going to even get on the bus. Take one of them helicopters.
Definitely
everybody's going to be dressed in a one-piece flight suit. We're all going to get on that airplane, jet around like, look at me, jetpack. Ha! Former intelligence officials seeking allies against the potentially damaging report have privately reassured the Bush team in recent days that they did not deceive them. I mean, this is all kabuki. So in other words, former intelligence officials who know that they did not deceive the Bush administration because it got signed off on all of these practices are pretending that they are reassuring the Bush administration that we did not lie to you, to maintain the fiction that we lied to you, so that you have the ability to maintain some arm's length distance from culpability in this. And from that morally safe perch, you can turn around and give us the absolution for not following your orders to torture, which we're all denying that you did in the first place. I mean, this is why you give George Tenet a medal, right? Even though he supposedly lied to you. Lying, no lying, not important. Completely irrelevant. See what I'm saying? He's a good man. Did hard work. So I'm going to give him a medal. So, winky, winky, George, right? Ha. You just keep saying you did not lie to me, even though it appears you lied to me. You say you didn't lie to me to show that you did lie to me, even though we know you didn't lie to me. And I'll say I didn't believe you lied to me, even though if you didn't lie to me, then I would have authorized it. But we all know I didn't do that. So here's a medal. Congratulations, you're a great American.